My mom kept every note, every paper, every assignment that my teachers gave me in first grade. And as an adult, I've always known that I'm not a very confident reader. I knew I hated reading growing up. I knew I was in the worst reading group in my first grade class, and I knew I had to do extra reading when other kids got to play. I knew in fourth grade, when I started to excel in other subjects and I was really good at math and these other things and I had a bunch of friends, I got 2 or 3 weeks in the advanced reading group, the enrichment reading group. And I knew at one point they called my name, and I knew at one point they stopped. And if you have ever grown up a child who struggles with reading, then you know how deeply these early reading experiences affect you. I have yet to meet, to talk to interact with someone who can't remember what their experience was like learning to read growing up, especially those of us who had negative ones. I read the notes. Spencer worked very, very hard, but Spencer was overwhelmed. That's me. That's 6 years old, working as hard as I could, giving my best effort, but being overwhelmed. If you've ever been the kid in those shoes, then you know what that feels like, and it doesn't feel good. I promise you that. If you don't remember your experience learning how to read, chances are you had a really good one. You probably had a parent like me who started teaching you to read before you got to school, so you didn't have to worry about it. If you remember being the smart kid in school, being the good reader, I bet you knew that in kindergarten. I bet you knew that really quickly. I was homeschooled in kindergarten. I didn't know any different. It was only in first grade I realized I sucked. And once I got there, I really learned it fast, okay? Now, why do I share this? Because you know, I don't like talking about myself. I like talking about you and talking about your kid. Why do I share my experience learning how to read? I wish that my parents had done a better job setting me up. They loved me. They took care of me. They hugged me. They read to me. They held me when I cried. They gave me my medicine. They did all the stuff that loving parents do. They did not know how to teach me to read. I wish my parents knew it. You grow up, life changes, you become a parent. I'm a parent now, you're a parent now. We have an opportunity to give our kids a better experience. Because whether or not you keep the receipts for your kid, whether or not you have the notes, whether or not they can look back and they can see the paper that says they were overwhelmed in school, they're gonna carry that with them for the rest of their life. You do not need a research article to tell you that your early reading experiences matter. You don't need a scientific study. You don't need to go out and talk to 100 people to understand this. We know that our experience learning to read early changes every aspect of our life. We know it changes how we communicate, how we show up, how we feel about the world. Not being able to read well is the reason I did not test into the high school I wanted to go to. It's the reason I did not test into the college I wanted to go to. It's the reason why I watched my friends play and do things that I couldn't do. It closed doors instead of opening them, and we have the chance to change that for our kids. So I look at 6-year-old me. I look at my son at 4. Where I went through life and doors closed based on my reading ability, he's gonna go through life and doors are going to open. He's not gonna worry about a standardized test. He's not gonna worry about being called on to read. His stress level in school, in life, is going to go down because of his reading ability, and that is the chance we can provide for our little ones. Now, parenting, it's a personal call. And I get it, kids gotta go through tough times, right? There's things that we have to go through that help shape us. But if you are the parent of a 1-year-old, 18 months, 24 months, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, whether you're trying to help get them ahead or you're trying to help them catch up, there are things that you can do right now to help make sure that they have a better experience than I did, and if you are like 2/3 of Americans who are reading below grade level in 3rd grade, if you are like half of adult Americans reading at an 8th grade level, if you are one of the large percent of Americans who is functionally illiterate as an adult, there are things that you can do to give your kid a better experience than you had. And you can start teaching them how to read, okay? Now, my experience learning how to read, it was sad, it wasn't good, I didn't like it, I don't like to talk about it, but hopefully sharing it is helpful for you. And if you have a little one and you wanna help get started with them, it's not very hard, okay? Here's what you do. Teach them the letter sounds. K, at. Teach them how to blend those sounds together into a word. K, at makes cat. Do that with more and more letter sounds. Do that with longer and longer words, and you're gonna start to see your little one learning how to read. It doesn't need to take a lot of time. It doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to require like a master's degree in education. It's overrated anyways. It just needs consistency, a little bit of time every day, and you can help set your kid up for more success than you had as a reader in school. So if that sounds good to you, if that sounds helpful, I've got a bunch of free resources that you can check out, but I'd recommend getting started with my free training. 30 minutes, and you can ask me questions as you watch. Otherwise, I've got a ton of free content on this page for you to help out, to help support your reader. If you feel a-okay about their reading, you feel confident with whatever grade, whatever subject, whatever step they're taking in life next, that is great. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. But if you have the smallest instinct that what you do now might be able to help your kid down the line, I would love to help, and I'll be here to talk whenever you are.